Hello, good evening. My name is Eliane Sandler. I want to thank you all for your support of Voices of Hope and for coming together tonight. I'm sorry that I can't be with you in person, but I'm in the midst of chemotherapy. I'm grateful to be honored here tonight and want to thank the Board of Voices and staff, and especially my 2G friends who spazier and schlep with me. I feel I'm here tonight representing not only myself, but also my parents, Gisela Mariana Adamski, born Zaks, and Sevek Adamski, whose birth name was Schmerl. They were the sole survivors of their families. My mother from Opel, Germany, to Opole, Poland, and survived Terezin, Auschwitz, Birkenau, Kurzbach, and the Death March. My father was sent to the Gulag and then returned to Poland as a tank lieutenant commander with the Polish army under Russian command. He never found out what had happened to his family, who were imprisoned in Warsaw, in the Warsaw Ghetto, and from there disappeared. Many of you knew my mother. Some of you brought her to your schools and heard her give testimony to your students. My mother dedicated the last decades of her life to telling her story, to giving life to her murdered loved ones and the world she grew up in. My father, like so many men of his generation, almost never told the story. I remember as a child in New York City getting on the subway to go to the earliest Holocaust commemorations. My parents would help survivors find their way to Madison Square Garden for the event, making sure the whole community could attend. My mother played a key role in the building of the American Gathering of Holocaust Survivors, the group from which major commemorations began. I'll never forget sitting in the rain with my mother, listening to Elie Wiesel and Bill Clinton speak in Washington, D.C. for the opening of the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. I remember standing with my mother outside the UN protesting Holocaust denial. I have so many memories of traveling with her to share her story, of talking together to students about our history. Our parents passed their history down to us, one way or another, whether they wanted to or not, whether it meant their panic when we came home hours late from shopping, or the way every existing family member treasured me, the only child, like I was a jewel. My family's history was woven into my life. It's only recently that I've realized when someone asks me how I manage the recurrence of my cancer and going through chemo again, that I think of the more subtle lessons my mother taught me. It's not the same, of course, but hearing her stories of the Death March, she would tell me about just putting one foot in front of the other. She continued when it seemed impossible, because when she fell down, other women picked her up. And when you have support, continuing on is really the only choice. I suppose no matter what we face, that image of her marching on through the Polish woods, supported by strangers, comes to mind. You act on behalf of others and you just keep going. Perhaps that is how it works with memory too. The memory must keep going. The stories passed down, which is why Voices of Hope is so important. My mother would always close her testimony by reciting Pastor Niemöller's famous poem. And so I know the mandate isn't just about memory. It's about fighting off apathy, fighting off denial, and remembering that we must fight hatred wherever we find it. And like those women in the forest who picked my mother up, help whomever we can. Thank you again for your attendance here tonight and for supporting Voices of Hope. On behalf of my parents and the generations that would continue to tell the stories after me, in recognition of the work of the second generation, I thank you for this honor. Please enjoy your evening.